Skoda have just introduced the latest model to their SUV lineup. Hot on the heels of the hugely successful Kodiaq, this is the Karoq, a smaller and more compact SUV. It arrives in Irish showrooms in December, but we're here at the international launch in Sicily to give you a sneak preview of what to expect when it does. And when I say we, I am joined here today by Bob Flavin of The Next Gear, who any Irish car fans will know already from his hugely successful YouTube channel, The Next Gear, which if you don't subscribe to, you really should. So Bob and I met up at a YouTube convention there a couple of months ago, and we have worked together in the past.
Yep.
Where there's lots of young and cool people there and they're all talking about collaborations, so we decided it was time we teamed up for a video.
Yeah, I like having an introduction. Can I have more introductions, please? The video.
So I am going to look at the practical and techie side, and Bob is going to look at the driving and dynamics for no other reason than he uses some very amusing Midlands phrasing like pootling.
You've never got over that word.
Never.
Pootling.
It's a favourite. I wish I could pull it off.
It's my one.
So since we're both camera people, we lug a lot of equipment around. I'm going to start with the business end, which is the boot. And I have high expectations here because anybody who's ever looked in the boot of a Superb knows that you could fit 12 dead bodies in there. So let's see how many you can fit in a Karoq.
This is Sicily. Should we be talking about dead bodies?
Good point. Capacity is 512 litres, which, to put in perspective, is larger than a Nissan Qashqai, just about pips to say at Ateca, but is still quite a bit shy of the Volkswagen Tiguan at 610 litres. Also, because it's a Skoda, it's got some really nice, simply clever touches, like shopping bag hooks, a torch, and most impressively of all is the new VarioFix seating system. So all three seats are individually adjustable and can be removed altogether, creating an enormous load area of over 1,800 litres. Skoda tell us the Karoq is the ideal size for 5 people. And as it turns out, they're not wrong. Head and legroom are good, and even the middle seat passenger doesn't get such a raw deal. Okay, so the Karoq trim level is going to be slightly different to the rest of the Skoda range in that they're no longer going to be offering an entry-level model. So they've done away with active. Trim level now is going to start with Ambition, which was usually mid-spec.
The main reason behind that was it's just not selling. No one buys the entry-level Skoda. Everybody buys the next level up from Skoda, so it's easier and relatively cheaper to offer the mid-range straight away. Well, apparently only 2% of Irish buyers were choosing active, so can see where they're going there. Clinically, you know your numbers. I couldn't tell you what 2% of buyers are.
I'm a fact checker. So what that means is that standard features on the Karoq include things like 17-inch alloys, dual zone climate control, parking sensors, a reversing camera, and Smartlink, which incorporates Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So Karoq will also mark a massive leap forward for the brand in terms of technology in the cabin. So the new infotainment system is one of the new ones from the Volkswagen Group infotainment matrix. So kind of very similar to what's coming out in the newer Volkswagens, the Golf and Arteon. Personally, I think it's fantastic. I think the rest of the competition are going to find it hard to measure up to this. You've got the huge glossy screen, haptic feedback, you've got your CarPlay, Android Auto. They just work very well.
They do, and Apple CarPlay, I'm a big fan of that, but now it does replace everything on the screen in front of you. So if you're an Apple CarPlay fan, you won't even notice you've got this touchscreen because it's the same thing. But the one criticism I would have is we have touchscreen volume controls and not a twiddly knob, which I much prefer a quick knob. I know you can do it here as a driver, you have it on your, but I just prefer a knob there.
Absolutely, and I agree with you there, Bob. I think the 3 things that you need to not be touchscreen are your aircon controls, things that you just want to go, whoo, it's hot, turn it down. Like now,
right now
it's Sicily, it's absolutely boiling in here.
It's like 25 degrees outside of it.
And then
in a glass cockpit.
And the volume control, which you just want to be able to turn down in a hurry. So that's the only thing really.
Fingerprints, look, already.
Yeah, we get that on all touchscreens.
No, but it's just
clean your hands.
Get the sweat off your fingers before you touch the screen.
Right, we've got this far and we haven't even mentioned looks.
No, I haven't really.
We're so unshallow, we're all about the substance.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but it looks like a mini Kodiaq.
Exactly what I said. It is a baby Kodiaq.
It looks you might even struggle a little bit to tell them apart if they were parked on the street.
If they were far away, yeah. It's very much, it screams Volkswagen Group. It's very similar in profile to the A-Tekkit, the Tiguan, which isn't a bad thing. But yeah, it's pretty inoffensive. I don't know if that's it.
It is, but it's a lovely look. It is, but it's just if you were thinking about buying a Kodiaq or a Karoq, you're going to struggle to tell by looks. You're going to look at them and go, well, they're just basically the same, just one's a bit bigger.
It's a lot neater though.
It is very tidy looking. It's very neat, rounded edge and stuff. So it does work. It does work, but it's just, I wish they'd have made a different look.
Right, before we melt, I think it's about time we went for a drive.
Yes.
Let's do it. The engine lineup, what we're getting in Ireland is going to be 3 diesels and 2 petrols. So the diesels, you've got a 1.6 TDI, then a 2 litre with either 150 or 190 brake horsepower. I don't think we're getting the 190 brake straight away. So this is the 2 litre TDI 150 4x4 DSG. Very nice for off-roading in Sicily, which is what we're doing at the moment.
It is. It's true. That's a proper ploughed field right beside me.
And it works.
It does. Apart from the front sensor is now impaired. I must have touched something at some point and turned it off.
Then
150 feels pretty good attached to a 4x4. I didn't think 150 was going to be enough power for a 4x4, but it is okay. Like, it's there, it's a good surge of power with the turbo diesel.
Then petrols, we're going to be getting a 1 litre turbo, so that's the entry level model. That's the one with the €27,715 starting point. And there's, for the first time in a Skoda, we're getting a 1.5 litre TSI, which will hopefully get a spin in later.
If 5 years ago you'd have said to me that this car would come in a 1 litre, it would have been ridiculous to even consider an engine that size in a car this big. But today's turbo technology and stuff, it seems to work.
For the city driver, it's going to be ideal. I mean, for the people who don't actually do huge mileage, or they're in and around the city.
Sorry, I just landed on my arm. I knew flies would be in the cabin there. Sorry.
Yeah, the 1 litre turbo thing is obviously taken off in a huge way in the C segment. I think people will still balk a little bit at the idea of an SUV. I know the A-Tekkit has the 1 litre already, but I think for a lot of people it will make sense. It's one of those cars that when you try it, you'll be pleasantly surprised by it.
But this is a really good combo though, this diesel version. And I know diesel's probably not where your head is at the moment. Everyone's thinking about electric and petrols and all that sort of thing, but this combination is really quite sensible. It's been very economical during the day. It's well able to hold the 4x4 system. It did well going up that mountain we just came down. It's a good combo between the two.
It's also got an impressive amount of safety features available now, including lane keep assist. You've got front assist. Where are you on the whole assisted driving thing? What do you like?
I love active cruise control. There's a good reason behind that. It's not for the lazy. It's actually because it completely stops you speeding. Once you put on active cruise control on a car and you set to 100 km an hour or 80 km an hour, it never goes over it, and it never gets tailgates. It never does. It's never let me down either. I've never been in a situation where I don't like using it. Apart from here. On the top of this mountain is probably not a good place to use active cruise control.
Yeah, I'm a fan of some, and there's some that I'll admit that I just don't use. Not a huge fan of lane keep assist. Sometimes it can be a little bit oversensitive, I find. You get this panic beeping. One thing I really do like, which is going to be offered on this, is blind spot monitoring.
Yes.
It's just something, it's so subtle, it's unobtrusive. It's just this little flash of light in the corner of your eye reminds you to stay alert, that there's something that you can't see. So that'd be a favourite of mine.
I find the lane keeping is the pinball sometimes.
Sometimes.
It starts to do this bumping towards the white line. If they're far apart, like if it's a wide road, you'll find a car will bump off either side. It's not really steering, it's just keeping you in the lane. So
yeah,
it's a different thing.
Some people like it. I mean, anything safety is good news.
Random Italian getting out of a van on the side of the road. Don't ever drive in Italy.
Especially Sicily.
No, it's chaos here. It is truly gladiator school for Rome, I think.
So what do you make of the drive so far? Does it poodle well?
I like poodling around the Italian mountains, yes. It does. It handles really well. It's quite firm, but not overly so. But it holds the road quite nicely. So you've got independent rear link suspension, which is quite nice, and it means that the bumps are smoothed out. And these roads are really bumpy. They are tragically bumpy in places. We nearly bounced off the road earlier on.
Do you think it handles similarly to Tiguan and Ateca, considering how similarly based they are, I guess?
It does. Skoda has this ability that Seat hasn't got. So if I got into a Seat Ateca, you'd struggle to tell the difference between it and a Tiguan. But when I get into a Skoda, I never think about Tiguan. I just think about, I don't know how Skoda do this.
I agree, you always know it's a Skoda.
Yeah, you get in and you go, I'm definitely in a Skoda. I'm not in a VW here at all. And yet it's all the same stuff from the Volkswagen group. But the drive, the chassis, the engine lineup, they're all basically the same. So you do feel that VW-ness about the car, but I don't overly worry about it because it's a Skoda. And Skoda's just that simply clever thing. And I'm quite a fan of that. You know, Skoda would be my favourite of the group.
So, the $1 million question is, would you buy this over Tiguan, over Peugeot 3008, Qashqai? I could go on.
Yes, I would put this right now from this drive and this drive alone. I would put this at the top of the shopping list for this segment. It's clever, it looks clever, it feels clever. So yeah, it's right up there. But ask me again when I'm driven on a dirty, wet day in Dublin, and then it might be a different answer. But right now, it's absolutely class leading.
So there you have it. The new Skoda Karoq will be in Irish dealerships before the end of the year with a starting price of €27,715. Don't forget to subscribe to both of our channels, Bob on the Next Gear and me on Cars Ireland. Can I say see you on the far side?
Yeah. Until the next time.
See you on the far side.